Good evening, everyone. Welcome. This evening I have lit this bigger candle as a remembrance. So today the remembrance of Russell Costin, who died 1 year ago today, voluntary assisted dying. That was the 15th of May 2024. I was with him when he died, and he was a client and also did come to some of the meditation day workshops, retreats. A certain remembrance of him and also of Bill Potter, who was also a client and died last Thursday morning, massive heart attack at home. And he was a client and also came to the meditation group mainly when we had it in the living room here, or moving over here. And also he did come to some of the meditation days as well. His wife, Christine, she does come to the meditation retreat days. And so she's sort of dealing with his loss now from sudden death last week, massive heart attack. So remembrance of those two people for ourselves, and maybe in a way dedication of merit, the goodness of our meditations to those people like those two men, Russell and Bill, and also anyone else that you feel may be unwell, that needs a sense of gift of good energy, good vibe meditation from us this evening. Family, friends, people that you might know. So let's settle into our meditation. Taking this time to settle into the present moment, this perennial present moment, this place to be, to know, to feel, to live from, that often is not engaged upon. The mind being elsewhere, engaged into thoughts about what has been, thoughts, worries, concerns about what might be. But our meditation is giving that possibility, allowing the mind to settle, relax into simply knowing the present moment, and knowing the present moment especially through the naturally occurring sensation of our breath. In this process of giving attention to the breath, helping the mind to quieten down from the mental discourse, the mental chatter, the mental comments, commentary, critiques, complaints that it gets caught into. Allowing even a sense of sensing and feeling that heartfulness, an openness, a heartfulness of the present moment. The simple feeling of being present, but also enabling a sense of presence. Allowing the mind heart's innate, fundamental nature of stillness, silence, spaciousness to appear and to become apparent. That's also where there is the experience of peace and contentment. So moving the mind away from the ways of the world, the issues, concerns of self, breathing out any stress, tension from the body. And before bringing attention to the breath, just relaxing awareness into the body, the embodied experience of life as a human being, sensing, feeling, connecting, feeling the feet connecting with the floor, Feeling our body connecting with the chair cushion or meditation stool. Feeling our hands, fingers resting in our lap. Maybe feeling cool air against our face. Subtle light coming in through the closed eyelids. Maybe noticing a few subtle background sounds, but not being distracted or disturbed by them. Also, if there occur any mental sights or sounds in the mind, also not being distracted, disturbed by them. And rather bringing our mind's focus to our breath, the naturally occurring breath, the inflow, outflow sensation at the nose nostril area. Just letting our body find its own rhythm of breathing, which may even change or modify during the course of the meditation. Aligning the mind to the breath, feeling each breath, each mindful breath, giving life to the body and alertness, awareness to the mind. Feeling each breath while maybe also looking into the lightness, brightness through the closed eyelids. And also using one or two words, a mental mantra in the mind if that's helpful. Simply feeling, knowing the present moment through each soothing, therapeutic breath. Now, just before ending this meditation, bringing to mind those that aren't so well, or those that have died significantly in our life, and using this time to gift the goodness, the merit, the wholesome karma, the good energy of our meditation to them, including Russell, Bill, also to Brendan's brother who's not well at this time, and also to Sue, who comes to our group and has just had surgery for cancer, will be with us next week. May they and others receive this gift of good vibe energy. May their soul, spirit, psyche, life force, mind force be uplifted. And may all of us, we too be well, happy, living our life mindfully, that our life may be a blessing to others. Brendan, I didn't know your brother's name.
Wayne.
Wayne. So if on occasions there is someone that is close to you that has died, or is unwell, and you'd like to let us know, and then we can, at the end of the meditation, dedicate merit to them. Especially you writing their name on a piece of paper so that I can see what their name is, and even putting it on the shrine. Because we're probably creating a lot of good energy, good vibe, collective wholesomeness in what we're doing. So sharing it specifically to people that might need it, as well as to everyone, all human beings, all creatures, great and small. So please help yourself to some tea, and we can have some reflections and discussion.
Well, my mum's just come out of hospital, day 2 after surgery. So she had a hospital made a mistake anyway. So she had she was living with 8 months of a stoma because they perforated her bowel.
Gosh.
Anyway, so we made sure she went back and had it reversed in a private hospital and successful. So she's healing.
Good, good.
Yeah.
So you dedicated your merit to her.
No, I was really focusing on meditation today.
Well, ideally, every day, do some meditation, end of the meditation, dedicate the goodness to your mum. Good vibe energy. Good medicine. Psycho-spiritual medicine. Every morning after my meditation, I dedicate the merit to lots of people, and including the meditation group yourselves. So hopefully you're getting the good vibe every morning. So I'm feeling good. What's it about? John's sending the merit.
Flipping was for mine meditation.
As well. So we've been looking into the importance of the experience of relationship. And so over the last few weeks, the relationship that we have with the experience of life through our senses, that fundamental relationship that we connect to life through the senses, then the interpersonal relationships we have with others, the importance of those, the intrapersonal relationship that we have with ourselves, foundation for other relationships. And the last couple of weeks looking into the transpersonal relationship. So the relationship with that which is beyond transpersonal, even beyond our own sense of self, beyond the duality of self and other. And that last week looking into how that can be enabled firstly by experiencing a sense of openness, wonderment, awe that may come through something that's being created to enable that. So the created environment, even the architectural environment of monasteries and cathedrals and temples and places that are built to inspire and to move the mind beyond being caught into self. And so very significant in that way. And I mentioned places that I'd been around the world that certainly inspired that feeling. Yourselves probably have been to places as well that bring up that sense of openness. The mind sort of goes quiet because of the beauty, the majesty, the greatness of the structure that's been created. Obviously, there's structures that can bring that as well that aren't spiritual structures, an amazing skyscraper, but certainly where, as human beings, we do create environments and spaces and places and structures that are for that purpose. But as well, looking into the idea this week of the unmade, or let's say the non-man-made environment that can also create that feeling of transcendence beyond the self, the natural environment. And in a way, it's like another significant point of appreciation and protection of nature is for the spiritual feeling that comes from being in nature. On reflection, we have most of the religious spiritual traditions of the world began in a natural environment. The obvious example is the Buddha, who before enlightenment, he practiced in the forest, in natural environments, was enlightened sitting under a tree, the Bodhi tree, by a river, probably a very pleasant, inspiring environment to be in for his experience of enlightenment. And then he spent the next 45 years of his life teaching, living and teaching in forest environments. Many of the sermons and discourses that he gave were in those environments. Noted that this grove or that grove, Jeta's Grove, Bamboo Grove, Vulture's Peak, sort of a rocky environment, places that were significant for inspiring and connecting and moving the mind beyond just self-centeredness that often comes with the man-made environment. And certainly in other traditions as well, certainly Christianity and Jesus being in these environments as well as obviously in towns as well. The early Christian monastics were called the Desert Fathers and mothers, and they lived in desert environments, living in caves and rocky overhangs and places where they could seek solitude and be with nature, find deep inner peace. And certainly the practice goes on, so that often people do seek out the natural environment to certainly practice meditation in, to live more simply in, to move the mind away from the hustle and bustle of and busyness of the world, worldly life, worldly values, but as well to see that at times we can go into a natural environment and it does give, even if momentarily, a sense of the mind dropping away from the world, dropping away from egoic self, creating a sense of awe or openness, stillness, spaciousness, a sense of even alignment with nature, the natural environment. Sort of sensing and feeling something perennial, something beyond just the days of the week and so forth, a sense of the perennial aspect of nature, especially if you experience nature where you see mountains, rocks that are millions of years old, trees that hundreds, maybe even 1,000 years old, places that are significantly special, let alone looking up at the stars at night, if you're in a place where you can see them without the light pollution. So seeing the light of stars and reflected light coming from planets and moons, it's like, wow, the heavens above. Again, it can move the mind beyond just being caught up into what's happening tomorrow. What work do I have on? So very, very powerful, enabling that awe and suchness of the present moment. Certainly, my initiation into spiritual life was in a natural environment, where as a 17-year-old and questioning what is life about, what's it all for, what's the best thing to do with my life, shall I study this, study that, and just going across the road to was a brick pit, that's a quarry that was no longer being used, and early evening, and the sun going down out towards the blue mountains that I could see in the distance, and a slight sort of rain happening, with the light coming through that light rain, and just a sense of feeling an amazing openness where all the thoughts of past and future dropped away. It was just a sense of eternal present moment. Suddenly everything was still. And also John wasn't there. John, that was coming up through thinking, because no thinking was happening, was suddenly no thought, no self, just the present moment. And I'm still finding words to describe that experience, but it was so powerful that the mind stop thinking, a total inner quietness and deep peace and presence, that it moved me to go, I need to realize more of this and what this is about, and the meditation must be the way to that. And my father, who was practicing Buddhism, I could see that what he was talking about suddenly made sense, and that I wanted to follow that way, which meant being a Buddhist monk. So that's what I did. But the experience was so overwhelming that it would take a young guy, 17, everything going for him, and sort of move him to something that's sort of really, really the opposite of the world. So these experiences can be powerful. They can be life-changing. Hence, obviously, for some of these people that had an amazing spiritual experience that then caused them to start a whole tradition, Buddhism, Christianity, other traditions as well, because of that sort of feeling of beyond the world that happens, that transpersonal, beyond the personal experience. Some quotes that I pulled out to do with nature. Some of them you may have heard before, but there's one that goes, "There is a pleasure in the pathless woods. There is a rapture on the lonely shore. There is a society where none intrudes, by the deep sea and music in its roar. I love man not the less, but nature more." That was from Lord Byron. And also another one which I've found inspiring, which describes certain environments, reminds me of certain environments that were really significant to me, natural environments, including being in Thailand, tropics, being in England, countryside there, being in Switzerland, the mountains and glaciers there. And this one is in a way sort of a sense of giving praise to nature, to the beloved company of the stars, the moon, and the sun, to ocean, air, and the silence of space, to jungle, glacier, and deserts, soft earth, clear water, and fire on my hearth, to a certain waterfall in a high forest, to night rain upon the roof and the wide leaves, grass in the wind, to molt of sparrows in a bush, and eyes which give light to the day. That's from Alan Watts. And here's one. Trees and stone, sun and sky, soil and sand, water and wind, all these do delight me, and in me find a friend. That's from John Barter. There's also some really great verses from one of the Buddhist saints, enlightened Buddhists from the time of the Buddha, Mahakassapa, who was fully enlightened but chose to live in very, very secluded places away from others, finding sort of great joy in being close to nature. And in the collection of sort of verses, it's called the Therigatha, sort of the utterances, the verses of the Buddhist saints, men and women, where they sort of inspired utterances or verses. Some of the ones of Mahakassapa are really inspiring. He says, "These regions are delightful to my heart. When the Kareri creeper spreads its flower wreaths, when sound the trumpet calls of elephants, these rocky heights delight my heart. These rocks with hue of dark blue clouds, where streams are flowing cool and crystal clear, with glowworms covered, shining bright, these rocky heights delight my heart. Like towering peaks of dark blue clouds, like splendid edifices are these rocks, where the birds' sweet voices fill the air, these rocky heights delight my heart. with glades freshed by cooling rain, resounding with the calls of crested birds, the cliffs resorted by seers. These rocky heights delight my heart. And it goes on with lots and lots of these little verses about how this sort of natural environment inspires him, even though he's already enlightened. So certainly being able to get into nature, appreciate nature, but also have that sense of awe in nature as well, which may be going to a place that you've never been before. And, you might be walking on a path, and it might be in a forest, it might be in a meadow, it might be amongst rocks. Then suddenly you come out into an opening, and it's so sort of like, wow, that the mind stops thinking, a sense of like just taking in the whole experience of it, which then becomes a transcendental, transpersonal experience of profound stillness, peace, presence, sense of great joy, which needs to happen before you or someone else takes out their phone and does a selfie. As Alberto said last week, a sense of not spoiling the moment in that sort of a way, but taking it in, being present for it, as long as it can last, before thought creeps in and brings the mind into past and future, self and other, this and that, etc. And certainly meditation, to come back to meditation is allowing and creating that transpersonal experience through moving the mind beyond thought, so that we might come in the evening, okay, I've had a busy day, done that. Thursday, tomorrow I've got that happening, thoughts on the weekend, but being able to take the shoes off, which is like stepping out of that which walks you around, even like the roles, stepping out and sort of just coming into this space here and transcending self. And the meditation then sort of aligns to that, the mind in the present moment, no roles, no responsibilities, no issues, no concerns. They all pertain to self, but self has been sort of let go of, that sort of depersonalizing. The persona, the Greek word for mask, is taken off. No roles, no dramas. So obviously after the meditation, we have to be careful about putting it back on again. We do need the persona, obviously, for relating. So if I walk out here and I see these personas left behind, who's going home? To go home is just I am spaceless awareness, timeless awareness. Who's going to work tomorrow? So for yourselves, any thoughts about this sense of nature being that which inspires the mind to move beyond the limitations of self, that trans-personal experience? Maybe you've had one of these, walking in nature. Meg, you've had one recently? Many.
This is one of my favorite things. Probably the most recent one, we were in Hawaii recently, and we hiked for 5 kilometers to get into really into the depths of a canyon. And the canyon is on the edge of an old volcano, and it's incredibly deep. But the place where you get to, a lot of other tourists don't come that far because you can stop further up just to look out and stay there. But this part has no man-made fences or anything. You could get right to the edge of the cliff and take a step off if you wanted to. But there were these birds that were flying down through the canyon, and the canyon leads out to the ocean. And you could just stand there right at the edge on your own and like feel the wind and see these birds going down the canyon. And I felt like it was for the Hawaiian people, an incredibly spiritual place to be. So it just felt incredibly powerful to be there, and you felt incredibly small and insignificant. And I quite loved that feeling. But for me personally, I love the idea of when you recognize that you are just a very small thing on a really big planet, and in a really caring way, you're quite insignificant. So we will often go for treks for days at a time where you'll end up in the middle of somewhere where no other people are, and all you have around you is an expanse. And I just love the feeling of being in an expanse and letting go of the idea of my own importance.
Yeah. So the self might seem small, but in a way, that which you are feels like a connection to the everything.
Yeah.
Even like the body, to go, well, self is a mental construct, but this body is just intimately connected part of, just an expression of nature. The earth element, the fluid water element, the breath air element, the warmth solar element. It's just that this is just mobile nature with consciousness.
I do sometimes also get the feeling when you're in those places and you feel an incredible sense of gratitude, but also that sense of connection that one day I will just become that. Like I will just be part of that canyon. And live now.
I think that's, for me, one of the most, probably the most attractive thing about nature is the absence of people and man-made things. It's nature's beautiful on its own, but when you experience it, and none of that normal environment, we're always around people and things. So to go out into nature and be away from all of that is an amazing experience.
It's as if we need that. Human beings, the human creature needs that, to be reminded of its connection to all of that, but also to move the mind away from small-minded pettiness and worldly mundane issues. And in doing so, it's incredibly therapeutic, both for the sort of mental health, but also physical health as well, which is intimately connected to what's going on in the mind, but also the health of the planet. People will appreciate more and more this home planet that we abide in, that is us in a sense, and more likely to look after it if they connect into nature, and rather than sort of trying to take their home apart or polluting it. So getting into nature more.
I think we are longing for that always, but it's only when we recognize, that moment or those moments that we are looking for that constantly, really.
And the sad thing is that people think they can get that feeling or that which they're seeking in a thing that they might be able to buy on the internet, and I guess delivered in a few days' time. It's like, well, does that do it for you? Oh no, it doesn't. And sort of constantly seeking and searching for the thing to feel that connectedness, oneness, which they could have either by going into nature or even just sitting and becoming still. I was listening to a talk recently in a chap talking about meditation and how important it is, and he said, if you don't go within, then if you don't go in, then you miss out. So by not going in, then you actually miss out.
Thich Nhat Hanh says the way in is the way out.
That as well.
But sometimes when you practice walking meditation, for example, you can prepare yourself for that moment. without any expecting any results. Basically, you know, when you let go of all your tensions and you relax, you know, you can actually feel the same kind of experience. I mean, you can have exactly the same experience. Probably better, I think, because you actually made a connection with everything around you because of your state. You know. But I think one of the most significant elements of this experience is what you were saying earlier, you know, that sense of emptiness. You know?
The fullness of emptiness.
That's right. Yes.
Which is suchness. Yeah, well, the Buddha described himself, one of the terms he used was tatata. I am the Tathagata, the thus, or suchness one of suchness, which is sort of empty of anything that you can describe. Suchness.
I've actually always wondered, from what I'm aware, I've never seen one of the teachings of the Buddha where he comments on, for example, a meditation about nature. Obviously, he talks about the 4 elements and things like this, and it seems, and I wondered if there was a specific reason for that, or if there's something I'm not familiar with. Obviously, it seems to be concerned with the self, or, you know, the non-self, so to speak. And yeah, I'm wondering if you're maybe aware of anything, or whether you have thoughts about.
How do you mean nature?
Say again?
How do you mean nature?
I guess the things around you in the natural world, they seem like a good object of meditation, or relating yourself to those things. Perhaps he does that through the meditation on the 4 elements. You know, like you commented, like people are talking about this presence within nature. I've never heard him reflect on these things, and it's always caught my attention. That
I think there probably would be some things in the discourses. Certainly he tells the monastics, exhorts the monks to get into nature. There are these trees, there are these caves, there are these open grounds, these spaces. Go and meditate. Go and meditate. So getting them into nature to meditate, then also meditating on aspects of nature, the 4 elements, or 5, including space. And then also realizing the true nature of impermanence and unsatisfactoriness, and no permanent self as like the truth of nature. But one of the last discourses of the Buddha, where he's moving towards death, and he's recalling the sense of joy in various places that he's been, and a sense of that he could prolong his life to stay a bit longer. And there's this place, there's Vulture's Peak, there's these other groves. So even like delighting in these places, but it's like, because none of the monks said, "Oh, please live longer," because he was not well, he was potentially dying, that he didn't preserve his life to live long. He allowed the illness to take over, and so he died. So, and I haven't read that discourse for a long time, but I was touched by the fact that the Buddha was expressing his delight in these various natural environments that he's spent time in.
I guess maybe it's implied, and it's only the modern human that questions this because we're so disconnected from nature, whereas people back then, they were completely the natural world they were.
Yeah. Very much like indigenous people that have that sort of intimate connection, well, not even connection, but at oneness with nature. So that's what we need to enable to certainly appreciate the natural environment for our own health and healing.
Land is their home. You know, we think of our home as a building. To them, it's just the land.
Well, even the sense that the land is the mother, so that they've come from the mother, and you don't own your mother, but you care for the mother. So do give consideration to again that relationship to the spiritual, that transpersonal, to the that which enables the noumenal experience. Did anyone look that up?
It was sort of like a sense of spiritual, majestic, something like that. I think.
Yeah. We can look into it next week. I've got a whole lot of notes on it that I took off the internet, so it's quite a interesting thing to be aware of. Have a good week and see you next time.
Yeah.